fact, boys.
It's not up for debate.
No, no. And I think Morning Stars understand this, so they're probably going to go for the Goat's Mirror. And like I said earlier, if they want to win this matchup, they have to play passively to begin with, really ramp it up. And I think versus Gigantti, who do sometimes try to make these big plays, I think Morning Stars, they have the advantage in this playstyle matchup.
We'll find out as they jump onto Night Garden for our first map of Lijiang Tower, our first round. And Milky Man's going to take control of that central pillar, play around the cover as Malzahsa steps forward with the allied barrier. Leaf can't be as aggressive as he usually wants to be, has to back off because, well, Gigantti are well onto him on Discord Orbs. On Malzahsa, you got Milky Man going down very low. He's been the focal point of a lot of teams' aggression because he is often highlighted as that weak link of Gigantti, or the weaker link. But Malzahsa is going to take out Facility, then missing the burst healing from the armor pack as Milky goes very low. He could do with some healing right about now as Hardest with 100 charge. Amelia grabbing his pocket and pushing him back to the spawn room, but that's going to be a reset and first cap for Morning Stars.
This is exactly what they need to do. I was worried a little bit for Morning Stars there to begin with. They came out with the Moira. I think when you have that scouting potential as you come over bridge, you can go back and switch the Zen, which Xraft is definitely going to do now versus that, because you did see how low Malzahsa's shield was getting during that fight. So as soon as Hardest he got the charge, Malzahsa was like, please, we need to go now. Otherwise, I'm just going to get run over by Gigantti.
Please, bro, just pick Zen, bro. Just one round. I need the SR as the Graviton Surge. Going to be answered with Transcendent. Shatter laid down on top of that as well. But they're divided by the healing. Playing around the terrain, Team Gigantti are able to divide and conquer Morning Stars as they press them and get the retake at 34%.
Now, I'm not usually one to talk about Grav placements, specifically in a counter like that, but the placement there from Davin onto the wall actually split Morning Stars up. And I think they were in such a position that they were actually being LOS from their own Transcendence, weren't able to get healing from it, and Gigantti win like that with an excellent counter Grav there, and they still have things to work with in the pocket. They've got the rally and the sound barrier, so you can expect an aggressive re-engage from Team Gigantti this fight using sound barrier.
They nearly lost Zappis. They've had to use the healing. Self-destruct is answered by a sound barrier, and they're trying to cower to go for the shield, but Facility misses out on that cover and gets caught in the rain. They're going to send a self-destruct of their own, try and split up Morning Stars. They still retain control of the point despite being one member down, but now they're going to commit the sound barrier, go aggressive in a 5v6, and send it home to Gigantti. They've conceded the point. They had no choice in the matter, as it looks like a flip's going to come over to Morning Stars. They're going to get a couple of frags for their effort as well. Davin's going to go down and lose all of that high charge he built for himself. And there's one final nuisance stalling them out, and they haven't dealt with it yet as they're trying to deal with Facility. He's going to actually bash himself over to safety, not one to fall into the pit and go for the late reset.
That is insane from Facility there in that situation. Mechanically gifted this lad is, because he got hit by the mortar, bopped into the air. In that moment, he's like, you know, I can go across the edge. What a beast.
Going to use Tridd to get them back into a better position, play in the white room. And Team Gigantti, they changed their mind. They're going for the other way and hopefully going to catch him. There's the boot. Going to find one. Going to find two. It's going to be Zappis and Facility going again. And Zappe and Lilbo, no, it's already too late. Tridd putting the team on his back and forcing an early reset from Gigantti.
They didn't even allow Gigantti to make that rotation. They went for the fake there, and Morning Stars fully prepared for it. Morning Stars, they have the Transcendence, they've got the grab and the Shatter coming up as well, as they don't quite have the bomb combo yet. Team Gigantti, they're lacking on follow-up for their Graviton this fight, so if Morning Stars can get Dragon Eddy to that Diva Bomb, they're going to have a significant advantage coming into this next one, especially with all the armor on top that that rally gave.
Milky Man's going to sit on that Shadow for now. Grab comes out nice and early, pulls him up above the ground. There's nothing he can do about it. It's Malzahsa just able to swing through. They're going to commit the trans after what seems like a one fight. But of course, they need to win this one fight, Blank, because we're at 99%, and it's just leaving Zappis to stall it out. Round one. Going over to Morning Stars. Already
shades of Season 3 again. We're seeing the flashback. See a late a little bow.
He's still got
off the edge. And Morning Stars. Again, there's some really nice grab placements this match. They pull them all up above the door, and what that does is actually circumvents the shield. It means that in that situation, Milky Man, he cannot feasibly defend his team. He's in a really awkward situation.
But he also can't use the Shatter that he's built himself for, because he's going to be...
Oh yeah.
What do I do?
You can't shockwave the air and hit us down and expect that to work. You have to actually hit the earth, as
if that was
says.
a conscious decision in the part of their process there was to get him off the ground.
100% poggers.
900 IQ play.
Yeah, absolutely. Team Gigantti coming to this next one. It looks like they're not going to be starting off. Sorry, Morningstar's not going to start off with the Moira here. Don't expect any crazy DPS comps, which you could see on Gardens, which is why I expect that we did see Xraf come out on the Moira. Also incredible to think that Xraf did get a Transcendence so quickly despite being on the Moira to begin with, which kept them in that one for so long.
I was really disappointed we didn't let Milky Man and Malzahsa just swing at each other a little bit more, and they stand around the circle like it's some gladiatorial combat.
It is!
Would have been able to decide this a lot sooner if that was the case. Dragon Eddy getting an Orbital Harmony, fell a little bit low. Dreedro trying to get control of the central pillar, probably to move Milky Man to an unfavorable position, but because the rest of Gigantti's moved forward, he hasn't got that option to play around central pillar now. He has to try and create some space for him to move back into it. Everyone's playing so far back on Morningstars, and Gigantti have started to capture the progress themselves. Cheeky little right check there coming out will help get the D-Mech on Zappis nice and early. As Hardest is building towards that grab, Transcendence comes out early. If I'm Hardest, I'm starting to open my eyes a bit and go, this might be a good time. But Milky Man drops the shadow before he gets grabbed up. Sound Barrier comes in from Gigantti to keep them back in the fight. Counter Shatter being dropped by Malzahsa buys a little bit more time. But the point looks like it's going to go over to Gigantti because they're the ones that are fragging out. Davin commits that grab from long range. Transcendence comes out after all. And Milky Man has to get back to the area of his team to keep the healing going. And they've still not captured the first point blank. And I bring in a curse because they just do it now.
Yeah, Zuppe in the back there a lot of the times. That's really well played. Actually talking to Tanny earlier, coach, manager, analyst. He does it all for Gigantti right now. But he was saying that he has some stats on an aggressive trance, which they use in that fight. Is they win 82% of the first fights, but they lose 40% of the time. They only win the second one. So they have a 6% chance to lose this next fight here, just statistically, because they don't have that Transcendence. But Zuppe, he's a madman. He's already got another one in the pocket.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who can just frag out on the back line if you leave him to and build up that ult charge by just hitting heads. You see him getting the markers every second he fires these orbs out.
He's so consistent. That's the problem with him.
They're going to play around the pillar, obviously play around terrain. Passive cover is always great because you're not using the resource of your shield necessarily. If you use the rally nice and early, grab, locks up two, send the bomb right on top of it. You can't block it from above. Dragon Eddy finds two, Vizility and Lilbo dropping off. Milky Man will answer back onto Leaf. There's a 2-for-1 trade.
Oh!
Shatter to the side, dies immediately afterwards. So Milky Man committing to Shatter to what could be a lost fight, and they're going to re-engage with that sound barrier as he just runs to the back line, knowing it's unprotected from a Reinhardt, knocks down Davin, trying to go for the flip. Not able to get any kills because he did run a little bit far forward by himself, as Lilbo's still going to stall this one out and buy some more time for Team Gigantti. But the flip should be coming in for Morningstar. They're going to come back in with Sound Barrier. They don't want to give up control. Milky Man comes in and finds two. The tank lineup only leaving Dragon Eddy back in the play, and Gigantti, throughout an entire engagement, retain control of the points.
Yeah, it's incredible Sound Barrier there. Really catches the entirety of Morningstar's off guard. Malzahsa is forced backwards. And Xraf doesn't know how to invest the Transcendence in this one, but one thing I'm really disliking from Morningstar at the moment is where Leaf is playing a lot of times. He does not play with Malzahsa, which means that he's been forced out of positions, forced to drop back of their zone to control, just because Leaf just isn't supporting him.
Nice reaction there to keep Milky Man alive. Hardest getting close to the grab, 2% off. Needs to send this home with that right click. Tool seal the deal, puts it on the pillar. No chance of blocking it. Transcendence is there to heal up all the damage. He finds Dreedro in the action. Malzahsa drops a shatter into no one, and self-destruct is planted to buy some space for him. They can't move forward and can't risk losing everything. Nice shatter to the side from Milky Man. They're trying to protect him, but a flame strike will clear off Hardest. Unable to be eaten up. The DM just expired a little bit too soon to catch that one. Self-destruct on top of the pillar buys the maximum space clearance it possibly can, as Gigantti retain control, and they're still fragging out. Leaf going back to the spawn room yet again. No mech for Dragon Eddy, just a swing of the hammer for Milky Man to seal the deal. Team Gigantti level out Lijiang.
Yeah, and it's exactly, technically it's really what you want to have Hardest in that situation with the Diva. That's much better. I don't like Leaf playing with Hardest over there, because in those situations you really need the shield bash, the whip shot to keep the enemy Reinhardt at bay. At the moment, Vizility is doing his job perfectly, supporting Milky Man in the front line. But Hardest, he was playing that correctly. He was on the flank, looking to get that high charge, get another grab hit, and potentially win out that way. Unfortunately, he gets shattered almost immediately, and that's just great from Milky Man, understanding that the personal barrier is down. Let's just go for the shatter onto them. Easy peasy. Fight is over and done with. So far, what I'm mainly seeing is that Morningstars, despite all the openings that they've been given, the playmaking potential from Team Gigantti, Lilbo in particular, is just allowing them to get back into these fights where they absolutely should not be allowed to.
Night Market, final stop on Lijiang Tower. Milky Man already taking the fight to Malzahsa, getting a cheeky swing in there. It's all healed up. Davin, no personal, has to play a little bit safer back right now. Can't risk taking any more damage. Not going to be able to get any charge for it. And Milky Man still being the focus for Morningstars. They want to break him down, get him out of there. As Davin will have time to get his personal up. 90 charge, close to pretty much going to drop down. There's the hundo as he gives over a shield. And Malzahn just getting burned, and he's off to the side, isolated. The rest of the Morningstars are going to have to go in there to help him. Leaf finding Milky Man in the chaos, but exposed the back line there. But Davin just burned down Dredro, and Exoraf going to throw out the hands. Lilbo gets the sound barrier kill onto Malz. There's not much he could have done about that. And they're just trading back and forth. The point's been active, but no one's gone for it, Blank.
Yeah, well, you can't really in this situation because you're trying to play a line here. You want to have your Zenyatta in the back, and you want to be able to support your team with all those cooldowns and have sightlines. Now they move to the point, and they don't have a Transcendence as of yet.
But they have the counter grab to keep the remainder of Morningstars off the point, to give them that early control and get the Transcendence out from Exorap. Zape still sitting on his as Lilbo's about to get the sound barrier. So that's a win for Team Gigantti in my books, Blank. They're going to re-engage with the rally, both being mirrored by the side of Team Gigantti on the defensive side. They're trying to keep him in this corner and not give him the freedom to move around. Self-destruct being sent to the back. It's a split Gigantti, and Dragonetti's going to find two with that bomb. Both tanks again falling victim to these self-destructs. Transcendence coming out from Gigantti. It's not going to be the day for them, unfortunately. Looking like it's a flip. Hang on a minute. Malzahn and Leaf and Hardest just going to clear them all out. Flip going over to Morningstars.
It was a crazy bomb, actually. It was on the floor for quite a while. I didn't actually see it make its move down.
It skidded. It was a skidder.
Yeah, it was a skidder. It was a bit of a pea shooter there. Went all the way to the back, and it's a really difficult place to actually shield it from because it kind of pokes out through the shield, so you have to get back. By that point, Milky Man was already forced into the corner. Shatter is available, but so is the grab.
Sound barrier to answer. They're going to get the charge off onto Milky Man, put him in the back. Malzahn gets the kill, and then he goes on to block out the rest of the self-destruct for his team. Morningstars dismantle the offense from Gigantti with just a sound barrier and a grab to make it work.
Yeah, I think you've got to go for some bubble rotations here if you're playing against Gigantti. You don't need to get control of the point almost immediately. Morningstars are not that high of a charge. What you need here is you need ultimates. And to get that, you really need to get Davin up to around about 80 charge going into this fight. Just rushing it right now, especially when Hardest is such high charge, you're not going to get much done.
Going to throw out the Shatter as well behind them. It looks like Milky Man's going to get taken out by Hardest, so Gigantti throw in the grab, but lose the fight still as Morningstars retain control, and they're starting to get into the danger zone in terms of territory, Blank.
Again, the fight goes through, grab goes down, but there's no kill potential in that fight because Davin is so low charge there. It doesn't matter how much charge you can get in that fight. There's no real follow-up in that situation. And Morningstar, they just accept it and they go for the Transcendence and they win the fight off the back of that one. Now Team Gigantti, they've got a couple of things to work with. A Transcendence to block the Grav out and also a Shatter. Milky Man's been getting caught a lot so far and that's down props to Dredro.
Nice Shadow off to the sideline, catches the flanking Hardest, the Discord Orb on him, still getting the kill as Zappis finds the consumption and denies the grabs that Hardest loves to farm. Self-destruct, not going to be blocked out, and they're going to keep this fight going.
Milky Man trying to move forward here. Malzahn so extremely low. You do have Leaf in the back line right now. He wants to get back in, but that's it. Dragonade takes down Milky Man, and that is no tank pressure anymore as they move on to the point. Team Gigantti just have to back off. This looked like it might be going in the direction of Morningstars. They could just take this one.
They were able to keep control of the point as it is. They commit the grab to it. Remet comes in for Dragonetti after this kill onto Zappis, denying the mirror. There's not many options left here for Team Gigantti. They're on their last life. They're just having to stall out with drip feeding players onto the point. Zappe finds Malzahn. Hardest will end up dropping himself, so at the last moment, at 99%, overtime, basically flashing in a second, Gigantti get the flip.
Another ridiculous fight that they should never have won in the first place. That is off the back of one grab and a rally. Morningstar's having to invest quite a lot of resources into that fight, but Team Gigantti, they have secured themselves a solid ult bank coming into this next one. Morningstar's, they're going to have the grab, however. That is the big thing. You go for the grab early. I think that's the play here. You want to force out some of these support ultimates.
You may as well, especially if you can grab them off point and create that panic for them. They're going to just jump straight out with the speed boost of Dredro. Bit of a waste opportunity. He catches no one from Gigantti. And it's an uncharacteristic grab from Hardest to find no one. But they're going to have to do it without Zappis has that self-destruct and a shadow from Milky Man as well. Going to choose one way to go in. Sound barrier committed. They're taking the fight straight to Gigantti. Milky drops the hammer. It's huge. It finds two. Transcendence comes out. Zappis still finds Malzahsa despite them committing Ultimates to keep him alive. And a double from Zappis again as he cleans house with the help of Milky Man. Team Gigantti, they're all on the brink of losing this round, losing the map, but they're about to match the percentage of Morningstars and potentially take out the W.
Still a bit of overinvestment, in my opinion. You drop down the Transcenders as well as the Grav Bomb combination there. Now you've only got the Rally and the Sound Barrier. Is it enough to stop this Shatter? They have to go for something aggressive. Malzahsa already dropped it. He's down.
Shatter's just dropped across the board as Milky Man gets a double charge kill onto Leaf Tree Throw and then follows it up with the kill on Hardest. That may have just secured Team Gigantti the round and secured them the first map in this series.
They had no business winning this control map on Lijiang Tower. So many missed opportunities for Morningstars here. Team Gigantti eventually, they take it. But I really don't think it should have been Team Gigantti's there. They made a few mistakes. And then from some clutch plays, from some clutch micro coming out from Lilbo and Zuppe in particular, they win that one out. I think there's a lot of times where Zuppe's just been by himself, one-man armying it in the back line. This guy is so consistent, and he's a real boon to the team. But Morningstars, they got to feel pretty bad after that one.
Well, we're going to go do a quick break. As we jump back, we'll bring you map number 2. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're going to jump into map number 2 very shortly, but it's Team Gigantti who takes the lead, and Blank had some choice words at the end. They had no right in winning that map, was the word you used.
No, they had absolutely no business. They'd gone down to apply for a business there, and they said, well, you've got no business. And that is exactly what happened in that situation.
Riveting analogy.
Absolutely riveting. Like, no way that could be any better whatsoever. We are going to King's Row here. I think the main issue at the moment is Hardest is on the flank a lot. Hardest is on the flank. Get that on EU rank. Absolutely. But the problem is with that is that Milky Man is getting consistent shatters onto him and his diva. And I think that's the problem. Either you save personal in that situation for that to stop the shatter from coming out, or you just switch over and you start playing behind your run.
I don't think that Hardest knows how to do that. He uses personal
He only uses flank. Yeah.
He uses it on cooldown.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all you need to do. But that becomes a really big problem because Malzahsa, he has been talked about. The Team Gigantti said that he is a really unpredictable Rhine. Probably, I think he's one of the best Rhines. But at the moment, Milky Man is doing an amazing job right now to have such a good read on him, to stop all the shatters that are coming out from him onto his team. And I think a lot of times, having that shatter pressure just denied from Morningstars means that Team Gigantti can successfully get back into a lot of these fights where, like I said before, they have no reason or rhyme to be able to get back into.
I think also what was highlighted as well was quite an interesting point, how Leaf's typically aggressive style of Brigitte has left Malzahsa out to the wind on some occasions here, where he's not staying with Malz, and it's created some problems in that Reinhardt head-to-head.
Yeah, and he's fixing it periodically, but not all the time. You'll see moments where he'll be with his Zarya and then suddenly back to with Malzahsa. And now I could understand if it made sense to be doing that on Control Center. Ideally, you should really have your Diva up with your Zarya and your Brigitte with your Reinhardt supporting him. But there didn't seem to be any reasons why he wasn't with him, and he was looking for wide flanks. But he doesn't really have any ranged abilities. He's got the whip shot, that's about it, but he wasn't making any plays with it. So I'm not sure I completely agree with that type of play.
Morningstars were eyeing up the double sniper, but they've decided to mirror Gigantti's composition as they go for the offense here on King's Row. Just trying to force themselves through the choke. Gigantti giving him a bit of space to play with, but not too much. Dragon is going to take that high ground. No one's going to contest him so far. They start moving themselves onto the point. Leaf walking forward. There's going to protect a barrier onto Milky Man to stop him being basically bullied by the Brigitte. Davin has to take cover, uses personal very defensively, keeps himself alive and gets the healing in just in time as they move round. Just trying to keep Morningstars away from this point. That's an isolated Hardest going down low. Davin just shreds through him. And now the rest of the team surely cannot stay in this fight. They've lost their main damage threat. Lilway's going to pick off Leaf on the retreat. How much more can Gigantti take from them as they run to the spawn? They want Malzahsa. They've knocked him into the room. Easy clap. And they're going to take out multiple members from Morningstars.
This is a massive choke as you walk past the bus. There's no other way to go, really, to get back to your spawn. So, sure, chase him down. Juice him for all the charge you can.
Yeah.
Davin, however, he's on really high charge, and it's unfortunate Morningstars had a really good beat on him and probably could have taken him down there, but managed to get some personal barriers off, and it kind of worked out for the worst for Morningstars with him at such high energy. 40 to 100 right now. You can see that Davin is just posturing himself for a grab.
Hardest has now got that grab, they're going to use it, but no, it's been interrupted by Milkers as he goes in with the shatter into the Flame Strike, and Gigantti just going to roll over Morningstars again. One ult down to make that happen, but Morningstars are going to come to the party with some of their own.
Team Gigantti, they use a one ult, just the one, the shatter. It hits practically everyone, and Team Gigantti are splitting up their pressure really, really well, meaning the Morningstars have so much to focus on. And it means that by just using that shatter, now they have a lot of ultimates in the bag for this next fight, specifically Grav and Self-Destruct.
They've done the old switcheroo on them, taking away the defensive position and forced Gigantti to attack them to get control of the point. Self-Destruct going up nice and early, everyone has to back away, buys a little bit more time, but don't know how much it has bought because they've still given point control over to Morningstars. Malzahsa stunned up as he drops down the shatter. Is going to find no one. Everyone else managed to retreat around to safety and not be caught out by that one. Sound barrier committed for the re-engagement from Team Gigantti, and they're going to try and look for something here as they push them off point. Not a third taken yet. That's important to note as they haven't made any checkpoint progress. Grab in self-destruct. Malzahsa finds Milky Man, but no more. They've lost the big shield. This is the opening for Morningstars, especially with the respawn advantage. They just have to clean out Gigantti in a decisive fashion.
It's really greedy from Team Gigantti. Yeah, they lose this fight. They lose this fight 100%. They lose this fight 10 times out of 10. But Team Gigantti is so greedy with their ultimates there. Yeah. With 1 minute remaining, you have the grab in the pocket. Zappis goes for some mental type of self-destruct. Doesn't do anything. It's very obvious. Morningstars go for the disengage. And in that situation, all the cards are in Team Gigantti's hands because you flip the map as Morningstars, go behind them, use resources to get there. At that point, Davin is at 100 charge. Hardest is still lagging behind at 40. You just push them at that point with Sound Barrier and with Grab, and you win the fight. But I think Team Gigantti just wanted to use Sound Barrier and Self-Destruct and win that fight that way. But at least this way, they won't get snowballed.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to get back into this one, stop the snowball from coming into effect, and going to commit the shatter. Milky Man finds it, another one from the side, weaves it around Malzasa's shield. Sound Barrier has to come out nice and early. Exoraph, thankfully, is getting close to a transcendence of his own. Going to commit the grab, self-destruct. Zappis catching out Tridd with their bomb that time. Anna D-Mech on the Dragon. Eddie, they're going to use their own transcendence aggressively and force this fight into the hands, take control of the payload, and send Morningstars back to the spawn room again.
And this is rough. This is so rough for Morningstars right now. They just used the Graviton towards the end of that fight. I think that's a panic. If anything, that's a panic grab from the hardest right there, because there's no other reason why you use it. Only time where a counter grab is really necessary is if you can hold down the Reinhardt and the D.Va, because then you prevent at least the self-destruct combo or a shatter to follow up with. Using a grab like that is just a complete waste from Hardest, if anything. And now Team Gigantti, after using a lot of ultimates, now they have a lot in the pocket to work with.
Oh, how does he still land that shatter? He was booped back and he had time to react, and still Milky Man lands it on multiple members, and the self-destruct meant for naught for Dragon Eddie, and still Gigantti retain control. 2 minutes remaining for Morningstars.
Morningstars look so flustered right now. They look really, really flustered. After that grab, it seems that the momentum has just shifted across. Hardest still lagging behind Davin, but he's actually towards his percentage, really. But Davin's just got far more impact out of each and every single one of his grabs. Coming in this next fight, you have another sound barrier. And we've seen Team Gigantti do this before. They use the sound barrier to split up, and they just go for it again. But there is a boop in the wings.
Not going to be out of there for them as Malzasa is going to drop down the shadow. This time he weaves it round the shield. There will be a defense mage to eat up the fire strike, thankfully, so he won't get that extra damage on and buys enough HP for them to play around with. Get that sound barrier out. Morningstars aren't able to entrench themselves beyond the payload and start getting some progress for this objective, as another minute has been burned by Team Gigantti. They're going to put the grab down early. Davin's got one of his own to use, but he's holding on to it for now. Transcendence will be enough. Going to force out the counter transcendence as Davin then throws the grab, looking for an overlap potentially. Zappis has bomb. Milky Man gets the charge on the leaf. Sound Barrier has to be committed as well after the transcendence was from Exoraph. So they've layered the support of ultimates, but they've still got some kills. Nice personal usage there from Hardest. Keeps the self-destruct from killing him. Same reaction from Davin. He's just going to eat that charge up. And Zappe is going to be the one to start dealing out some extra damage as Lilbo moves forward onto Miles as well with the sound wave. And even after all that, the payload has only moved about 10 meters, Blank.
It's a wonderful beginning of that fight as well, as Malzasa finally, like he said, threads that charge through, and then he goes to take a player hostage, bring them back to the team with a charge. But Lilbo, at the very clutch second, drops down the sound wave, boops him backwards so he can't hit the charge, and gives precious moments for Team Gigantti to regroup.
But they've managed to find Milky Man, so they're going to get the payload in motion, but the rest of this push is going to have to be done in overtime, especially after they just stalled out Zappis. So you got two members coming from the back respawns, so this means that Gigantti's going to have to play a little bit further back. But like I said, they're doing it in overtime. One fight from Gigantti will end the run for Morningstars. Yeah,
there's a shadow available as well, as looks like Team Gigantti just waiting for a full regroup right now. They will be coming into this one again, but there is an early grab potential from Hardest here. Davin also has one of his own, so they can just counter it out. Maybe use Transcendence aggressively the next fight.
There you go, they're going to pull them together, holding shields for now. No one's swinging hammers. Nice shatter out of the grab. Will surely win it for Team Gigantti. One fight. Overtime ticks down. They're going to end it short of checkpoint B.
That's disgusting. I never want to see that again, Milky Man. In fact, I do. That was pretty incredible, to say the least. Just the shatters from this guy has been top tier all game. I mean, this guy has got such a high skill ceiling, and he just seems to keep going. Like every single week, week after week, this guy improves. Something else has changed. Something else is better. First, it was the over-aggression. Now it's shatter usage. How much better can this guy get?
It's every week, bro. It's every week.
Don't you dare. But again...
I hear Gigantti's got some merch. So.
They do, yeah. Morningstars, however... they had a great call there on the beginning of point B, is where Visility goes down, so they know that they can just speed boost through and then get Leaf into position to bash onto Milky Man, and then they take it out that way. That's a fight that in that situation, this is why it's so important to have your Brigitte next to your Rhine, and that's just classic, showing why it works so much. Morningstars pulling out something pretty mental, first point, and they absolutely have to. They need to burn down the time bank. I don't mind this composition. It was played a lot last season, but what it really does rely on is rotations from Team Gigantti, which we know that they have down.
I wonder what the reaction will be, and Gigantti might come out of spawn, spot this, go, oh, Bastion, and then run back to spawn and have this unified swap that they usually do, because Gigantti is one of those teams in Europe who has no hesitation. If they spot an unfavorable matchup, they go, right, okay, we're going to move back. We know exactly what we're going to play, and they change over and they go ahead and do it. So, I'm curious to see if any adaptation comes out from Gigantti. I imagine there might be, because I feel as though Bastion might just shred through these tanks.
I mean, what we're most likely going to see is a rotation through Hotel, which is why you do see Leaf already set up there, ready to catch it. But Team Gigantti going back immediately, probably going to switch to the Moira right now, so they have a little bit more of sustain.
No.
Actually, to the Pharah. Ooh, I like this a lot. We're going to go see this triple DPS with the Ana on board, specifically for the bio grenades and the sleeps, should that shield go down immediately, which it probably will do with all that damage coming through from the Stormwire and the rockets.
They've created a bunker for themselves up in the high ground. Not going to leave it just yet, and it's up for Visility to break this shield and open it up for the likes of Zappis and Davin to get extra damage in. Concussive Blast will knock him around a bit, won't get any kills in there. Leaf goes down low. They've lost their first one. Mercy's in position for the resurrection, so Dredro will bring him back into the playing field. But now you don't have that online, so this is a window of opportunity for Gigantti to now capitalize on. Need to be mindful of where Bastion is, and I think he's off to the left, going to position around center. They caught the rotate back to the rest of his team. Dredro was down low. They get D-Mech. Visility caught off guard there by the reposition, and will get dropped down, but they've given over a third of the point already to Team Gigantti, as Zappis is going to find Leaf, and the progress keeps ticking up. Blank, they're going to have the Milky Man jump in on the Wrecking Ball just to get shredded by bullets, but no one's contesting the points.
There's so many angles to play with right now. Doesn't matter what you do, like you can't touch the point, you need to send your Diva, but she just gets melted so quickly.
Well, Malzassa just got melted by Zappis and Visility, pounding damage into them. They're going to go back onto the point now without that Orisa shield. I don't know how Bastion can stay alive. Tank form takes the fight to them. They're immediately shut down by a couple of rockets and a biotic grenade. Team Gigantti captured a point. 2 minutes in the bank already. They're going to have 4 minutes 45 to play with as they try and match a measly point B checkpoint.
The question is, do they continue to play around with this? They got a few ultimates coming. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a few ultimates remaining. I think they'll probably go for some kind of aggressive play, but it does look like they're going back to swap off over to the Goats. They're going to leave Juppe, I imagine, on the Ana with the Nano boost. This is actually going to be really good from Gigantti versus Morningstar. Should there be an aggressive push onto them, you can actually just nano Milky Man, and with all these walls to play with, you can get big nanos.
Does it nice and early, starts swinging the hand, and Miles has already found Zappe. Thankfully, taking the Transcendence away from the team, but they're already playing 5v6. Without it, it's going to be difficulty to get kills in. Everyone goes low on Morningstar's. Mouse gets that fire strike through onto Milky Man. Exaraf will be finished off after he was isolated. Morningstar's going to kill the momentum for now, but it's still going to burn through a 4-minute time bank.
Big pick, especially on Exaraf. Do you send back Dredro to pick him up?
Yep.
You do. But this is going to leave a big opportunity for Team Gigantti to push onto Morningstars without that pressure from the orb breaking the shield of Team Gigantti. Looks like they have got him in position. Milky Man looking for a shadow in this next fight. He has found so many so far. We are looking for another.
This is a tight corridor for him to weave it around the shield, so he has to go aggressive and force the fight and force the rest of Morningstars back. They've given up so much space, but they want to play around this corner. Just they have that passive cover to play around with and not have to use resources constantly for Sphinx. Here's the rotation coming out from Team Gigantti. They're going to go around the other side.
Though? They haven't even noticed.
They've noticed it now. It's just a little bit late, but they're playing on the objective. But they're going to take this position away from Morningstars, and this opens it up with a grab to bring him onto the payload. Stunned up Milky Man, but they're keeping him alive. Thankfully, he's going to be able to force out of it. Nice shatter will be dropped down. Just finds Zappis and Lilbo. Self-destruct. uncharacteristic shadow from Milky Man finds no one, but they have control. They've done the old rope-a-dope again, and they are making Morningstar's aggress onto it, but Zappis has now been demeched, so it now creates an opportunity here where the shield is really going to get pounded because he can't DM a lot of that damage coming through for the rest of the team. As Davin got 100 charge, wants to build up some more damage, gets an armor pack to give him that extra oomph to keep going. The Gigantti only have support ultimates to play with, likewise for Morningstars.
Double support ultimates from either side, though. It really depends on who gets the grab first, and at this rate, looks like it is going to be hardest.
Transcendence luckily comes out in time by Zappe, goes for the charge to move him around. We'll get Lilbo, takes him out, so that second defensive ultimate not going to come out. Shatter into a shield from Milky Man. As he goes for a charge, it's been cancelled out. He's just been booped around, bullied even. As he gets into that high ground, Davin has that Graviton Surge. Sound Barrier committed. They're going to pull them all together. Going to punish that early Sound Barrier and buy Milky Man some more time to stay alive, but Hardest still cuts through him. The rest of Gigantti might be in trouble here as they're starting to lose members, and the other team has to come from behind to get reinforcements.
Yeah, past that shield over to Facility there. Hardest is so low, and Davin, with the sound barrier already, they are pushing into this one.
Grab again, not catching anyone as it's just wasted. Leaf going aggressive, nearly punished for it. They may have had a new position, but Morningstars are holding on to the point, and Tridd will kill Milky Man as he tries to regroup with Team Gigantti, who are holding that aggressive foothold position. We talked about how this time bank had to be burned. Morningstars have done a lot of it. 1 minute 30 remaining.
Yeah, it began as kindling, and there's tremendous fire now from Morningstars, but Team Gigantti, they have that transcendence. It's shades of Gardens sorry, we were looking at Market now on Li Jiang. They can go for an aggressive transcendence here. Hardest obviously does have high charge, so they have to win the fight quickly should they want to go for it, but this will be last fight. I think it's absolutely an opportunity where you do go for this aggressive trans. There is no extra fight.
They're going to grab him onto the corner, send the self-destruct over the back. There's no shield for them apart from Leaf, and a cover for Dredro and the backline support. Wasted Shatter into the shield of Malzahsa. The boot was there to move him, but it feels like that should have come a little bit sooner. Big drop from Malzahsa, and they're going to go aggressive onto him instead with the Transcendence to take some pressure off the downed members as they get back into the fight. 40 seconds remaining. Hardest has another grab. Dragon Eddy going down low will stay back in the fight. They're trying to DM any additional damage as Davin finds Malzahsa.
They need to keep
Morningstars has to commit the sound barrier, but they're starting to be shredded through without the shield. Morningstars finds 2 in return, so it's still an even fight for them. 20 seconds remaining. There has to be a reset from Gigantti here.
Davin is out of position so badly. He just wants to die. They have to get back into the zone. He's got the Graviton available. Morningstars, they don't really have too many ultimates except from the Transcendence, that key ultimate that they need to stop this fight. 8 seconds remaining. Someone has to touch. Looks like it's going to be Zappis or Lilbo. If he can't touch it, he's so fast. He's already there. There is now this grab available. It has to be massive.
They've got the overtime. They've already lost Zappis' mech. They need to get Hardest there. Sorry, they need to get Davin to the fight. He's still lagging behind. They've already lost Milky Man and Zappis. Lilbo, if you've got some magic in you, now's the time to drop it. Grabbed off the point. They're going to grab him on the point.
Overtime.
Tick down. They have to break free and charge forward. Nice shield bash from Facility to keep it alive, but they're struggling to get past Morningstars. Self-destruct. Transcendence is there. Booped around. They're keeping him alive as they're just relying on the healing of the Transcendence, but they're still able to burn through it. Milky Man on the ball will come back for the fight with the power driver. Knocks up the rest of Morningstars, but they're fighting an uphill battle here. Gonna get dropped down by Leaf, who just charges for him. There's not much left here for Gigantti to do. Morningstars against the odds. Burn through the time bank, level out the series 1 apiece.
Walking into a tied Morningstars. They hold it back there and they ride the waves. Really well played to them. I'm shaking a little bit, to be honest with you. That was an incredible hold. No, you don't tend to see holds on point B, but Morningstars, they really pulled it out. And I think that comes down to conservative play from Team Gigantti. They don't want to make too aggressive plays here. I think they must have expected more ultimates online. Obviously, they can't see all the ultimates of Morningstars. Obviously, that would be unfair. But there were so many moments where I was like, you can go for an aggressive play in this situation. You can run at them. Like I was talking about before, they apparently win 82% of fights with an aggressive trans. Obviously, 60% of the time, they lose the next one, but there isn't a next one available to them. You just go immediately straight for it. We are going to see a couple of highlights right now. First one being on Legday.
So one thing I want to notice as well, I think personally it was quite greedy from Gigantti. Obviously they tried to take the aggressive position, they tried to take the territory away from Morningstars, but they lost the fight and they expected Milky Man to be able to get back without being punished when Morningstars are well aware where he has to come from, the spawn room, and you saw it. They took him out, and at that point, Gigantti were like, okay, I guess we have to fall back now, otherwise we're never going to regroup properly. And I feel like that was a big burner of their time bank, was holding on to that position after lost fights.
I don't think they expected to lose a lot of these fights either. I think that came as a surprise to them, and you could tell it was a surprise to them. This is that
the shield bash. Leaf got in the shield
yeah.
bash to make that work.
Well played to Leaf, yeah. Shield bash, it still works. It still takes down the
but you have
shield.
to be behind the shield because you put it in the corner. Reinhardt has to show you his back.
Yeah, man. You get forced into small enclosed areas. That's when Brigitte can really start to take form in a big way. But this is like for the fight where Gigantti lost point A just because they were refusing to use ultimates.
Yes.
And I couldn't understand why. I think the self-destructs from Zappis this game have been pretty poor at best, and not really any of them connecting. I understand you're trying to split up the team there. I understand that you're trying to create space for your backline, for your front line. But in those situations, really just wait. You have all the time in the world for everyone just to get Q online and then just press that all out. As we saw before, one sound barrier seems to force out a lot of ultimates from Morningstars, and I don't know why they didn't go for something like that earlier. It seems just like a misplay from Gigantti. Both teams getting very flustered, very much like just not knowing what they wanted to play and not what they wanted to do towards the end of that map. I don't think that's the full potential of either teams that we saw there.
Well, so far, it's tied 1 apiece, so the mistakes have been coming in for both teams equally, apparently.
Yeah.
We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you the third map in the second half of this series.